Welcome back to the Gratu Orloff Show. It's a beautiful fall Saturday morning in October 15th, 2022. And just wanted to enjoy the beautiful leaves, kind of record this moment in mid-October. Because who knows, in a couple of weeks, the Democrats may provoke a nuclear war and all this won't be here, so might as well preserve it for the cockroaches that will still be alive afterwards, right? This beautiful cobblestone street. I think what I'll do today is a house tour. And we moved to this house in April. It is now October, as I said, so it's been about 6 months. And this has been a Herculean effort to, move from Texas and box up from a 2,500 square foot house to a house that's over 6,000 square feet. And it still feels just as filled up almost, but it won't for long, because once I get all these boxes up and unpacked and organized, then things will, there'll be more room for things. This house was built in 1918, although I saw a postcard that shows this house, and the date that someone wrote on there was 1912, or the postmark, I think it might have been. So it could be the house is a little older than that. But this house was built as a rather large home, but over the years it's been turned into a furniture store and an auction house and even a funeral home. But this enclosed front porch used to be open air porch when it was first built. Anyway, let's head on in. You don't really need to lock the door, but I'll do it anyway because there's virtually no crime here. It's a refrigerator my wife purchased not long ago. This is something I made in junior high, I think in 7th grade, when we had to do a paper mache art project. I made a boxer. Why the boxer is got slash marks, I'm not sure, unless they're the other guy has knife. I can't believe I did this and turned it into a teacher. I really am insane. Yes. So, it's the front porch, and got it decked out for Halloween. Although, it'll probably stay that way all year, honestly. Because all year is Halloween and Christmas for me. Our family is blessed. Family is everything. And you see these stupid frames you get at Dollar Tree? You think that's the most, who would have that shit in their house? But if you put something like that in the frame, suddenly it becomes magical. So, it's rather cold outside, but it feels great. You think someone coming from Texas to Iowa is you're not going to be able to handle the winters. Hell, I've lived in Germany, man. I survived in Texas a year or so ago when it was 0 degrees outside, and Biden and his Chinese handlers turned off all the electricity pretty much in Texas, and I survived that and got down to 41 degrees in the house. Really unpleasant, but I survived. Like a cockroach. So, this part right here used to be part of the open porch. So I imagine there was a wall right about here that was taken down. But that photograph, this was open porch. So, this curved closet here, I think, has more, I don't know, that feels kind of more Art Deco. So that may have been done in the 20s. Maybe they enclosed this. Who knows? I've got priceless statues. I don't know. Is that Cleopatra or is it a slave girl? I don't know. Got it at a lawn ornament store. And let's see. I'll just go in detail throughout the house. There's a Green Goblin. I don't have many of these comic book statues. They're pretty expensive, and sometimes I'll get one if it's particularly cool and expensive. I'm pretty sure that this was advertised, that used to advertise that in Famous Monsters, this Skull Bank. I got this at the Dollar General just right when we moved in. To me, it looks pretty nice. I mean, the paint's not exactly on because it was painted by slave labor, but from a distance, it almost looks like something vintage, right? Hate that word vintage. Why am I using it? This rocket ship I got at Lone Star Comics, but it broke in the move. It had been broken before, but I re-glued it with Gorilla Glue. It not very well, as you can see. Here's the Lawgiver. See this guy here? Glenn Close played him in the Captain Marvel movie that came in a few years ago. That shows you how bankrupt Hollywood is. And here's Submariner, the famous Latinx superhero. Actually, he's from Atlantis, but you know how Marvel Cinematic Universe has gotten. Here's a chalk statue. They used to give this. I probably should turn the sound down on the TV, huh? It's probably irritating you. This is a chalk statue. They used to give that away at state fairs, county fairs. Basically, before they invented plastic, they used chalk. Plastic was an invention of World War II. You can put down in the comments if I'm wrong. I might be giving you misinformation. I don't know. Who cares? There's Steve McQueen, Ed Gein, famous killer from Wisconsin. That statue was commissioned by my friend Tom Renoni back years ago. Here's Judge Anderson from the Judge Dredd comic book, except she really looks just like Debbie Harry. This was painted by my late friend Joe Riley, and he really did an outstanding job. I could never paint something that well. Problem is the vinyl, it's a vinyl thing, and she doesn't stand up right. She always falls backwards, so I have to put her up against the wall like she's leaning against the wall. There's a Philco Predicta television. Let me turn that down a little bit, TV. Oh, if I can stand up. This was supposed to predict the world of the future, and they actually did a pretty good job, because it does look like what would ultimately become, the early personal computers. Okay, so I got this at a garage sale from the neighbor next door. Yeah. Oh, this is a replica of Lily Munster's pendant. I've got to fix the chain. This is recent from the 90s, and that's an actual 60s Frankenstein. I've got the sun behind him, so you can't. Oh, man, I hate having sunlight come into the house. It's bad, man. This is a TV lamp. What happened to the light? Is it even? Oh, it's working, but you can't even tell it's on because of all the cursed light. I should do this house tour at night, I guess. Oh, here's my sunglasses. These are prescription sunglasses. I didn't know where I put them. This was my mother's, or it could have been my grandmother's, this little flower holder. I'm not a fan of Funko Pops, but sometimes something will come along like that I'll just have to get. That broke in the move. She broke off of her base. It took me a long time with Gorilla Glue to fix that. That's a lot of things broke in the move, and I've been gradually fixing them. It's a poster for the Wasp Woman. That's pretty sought after because it's such a beautiful poster. This is supposed to glow in the dark, but I think it came from like Alphabet cereal or something, like a promotion you could send off for. These are pretty cool because these three posters kind of match the wall. And here's a spook show. But the only problem, it's a spook show deal that's at a drive-in theater, which sounds kind of cool. I'm not sure how they did that. This is a wax figure of Hedy Lamarr, the inventor of the cell phone, or the actual the process that makes the cell phone work. She was a brilliant woman, but was the weird thing about this is she's recostumed as Cleopatra. They had the Hedy Lamarr figure, and probably in 1962, all the scum that went to this backwoods wax museum probably didn't remember who Hedy Lamarr was, but they knew that Elizabeth Taylor had a new movie coming out, so they redressed her as Cleopatra, but she never actually wore this outfit, Hedy Lamarr. There's a card that goes with this display that says Hedy Lamarr Algiers. So this, whatever she wore in the movie Algiers, is what this figure was originally costumed in. Now, the last time we did a video, my friend and I, where the camera was just held like this, the sound was terrible, and I hope that's not going to happen now. I think my friend may have accidentally had his thumb on the microphone. But the way I'm holding the phone, I'm hoping I'm not, let me see, I don't think I'm holding over anything on the cell phone that's going to cause the sound to be muffled. Here's Tobor the Great. I bought this from my friend Tom. Had it, I think he already had it framed when I bought it. Yeah, pretty sure. Cool and the Crazy. There's Zsa Zsa Gabor's finest film, Queen of Outer Space. These cards they would use in the movie theater to tell you what days the movie's playing, and I bought a whole bunch of those at one point. I Married a Monster from Outer Space. There's a AMI jukebox. There's a famous photograph of Patsy Cline leaning up against this model. It's early 50s model. Here's my bootleg Star Wars curtain, which I really need to put somewhere else where it can be appreciated and seen in all its bootleg glory. Bought this little antique couch from the neighbors, but if anyone sits on it, they'll go right through it. So I put all these people on it, so no one will be tempted to sit on it. It's just a cool looking thing. So we have Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. We have Howdy Doody. I bought this at the local festival. This woman made macrame pop culture characters. It's 9:28 in the morning, Saturday morning. Years past, there would be cartoons on television, but now you have to make your own entertainment. This is one of my favorite posters. On stage, direct from Hollywood, Dracula, House of the Living Dead. And this is a great one too, Dr. Dracula's Living Nightmares. There's a amazing color poster for the same spook show that they have made copies of that you can buy from eBay. I think I'm going to be doing that at some point when I have some money. Teenagers from Outer Space, thrill-crazed space kids blasting the flesh off humans. I love this ever since I first saw it in the Monster Times, one of the finest publications of the 20th century. Before a beautiful girl, one moment later, a skeleton. The Monster Times reprinted the newspaper ad for this with that great thing there. Hey man, dig this crazy show for a real gone thriller. Dr. Jekyll and his weird show. I guess I don't have the Dr. Pepper clock plugged in. It needs a new light, but anyway, I'll get that done. There's a lot of stuff I got to do, man. This house is not really presentable yet, but I'm doing get the fan on because this is too hot in here this morning. This is from, I don't know, Kaji Star. I don't remember the name of the Japanese show that's from. Remember these old Western guns? I get a whole bunch of them here down there. I don't know if you can even see them. There's an old cell phone that would have costed like $1,000 when it came out. Dr. Satan's Chills in the Night. So there was Dr. Dracula and there was Dr. Satan. Yeah, I wish there were film record. I wish someone had gotten on film an old spook show back then. All you have are photographs. So. There's Hot Car Girl. Here's a Seaberg jukebox. I don't have it turned on right now. And all of this needs to be organized and displayed better. I threw some Munster stuff up here. It's these are more recent Munster coaches, and there's the 60s model kit, but that's a reissue. But Joe Riley built that for me. Joe Riley's this friend of mine that I worked on with a show called The Hypnotic Eye back in the 90s, and he was a master special effects guy and sculptor and painter and artist, and he built model kits. So he built this one for me. So it has exceptional detail that I never could have gotten. But you can see that this one made in the last 20 years, the dome where you sit is not as big in proportion to the car as if you look at both. It looks better this way, in my opinion. Okay, Creature's arm fell off. It's down there. That's the Aurora Creature kit. This is, I was wondering where this was the other day. But this, I think I was wondering on the show. But see how the paint job, the guy that painted this mummy, painted it to look like James Bauma's painting with the blue lighting, which I think is fantastic. Because look, he has that blue lighting just painted right onto him. And he painted the blood exactly. I mean, that really is good. I mean, look at that. Look at that detail, man. This is going to look good on a big, giant, flat screen television. So anyway, that's the only Micronaut I bought when they came out. His hand is somewhere. It's somewhere. It shoots off. These have been moved around since when my friend was here. We were pulling out books and looking at them. So things are not like. See, this should be facing us. And there's Robin's glove. Or really, it's more of a mitten. But this is a Mego Robin glove. I need to take it into the bat room here in a minute. Not the bathroom, the bat room. So these are... this is a board game, Creature Features. This Super Dictionary is one of the funniest things you'll ever see in your life. This is a secretary. I've got photographs of myself learning to walk, holding myself up on this when I was a baby. This is a family piece that was given to me when I was like in 4th grade, and it was always in my room. In my comic book collection, my entire comic book collection used to be, Meyer Greenblatt and I were talking about this, how, going in and digging out all your original comics that you had when you were real little, and just so you could look at what you had at a certain time. Anyway, this on these shelves had all the comics stacked up, kind of like these Japanese monsters. These are Japanese superhero monster magazines from the 90s. It has, this one's upside down. Now they would read like this. It has Ultraman and Kamen Rider and all this stuff. There used to be a Japanese supermarket, maybe it's still there in Dallas, called Kazi's. And you could go in there and get a subscription, and then every so often the Japanese magazines would come in from Japan and they would call you up and you go in and get a couple of months issues of it. It's kind of like when you get a comics pulled for you, and the local comic store, they would get the stuff in from Japan. I should have shown this to my friend Forrest when he was here, because he's all into UFOs. This is the UFO evidence, unidentified flying objects. I knew I had it, I just didn't know where it was. Washington, D.C., 1964. So, you used to be able to find all kinds of weird stuff like this at half-price books. I don't know where I got this, but anyway, it's pretty cool. And so I used to have comics in here. All my original comics would fit here. I think, yeah, they were all here. Those were the days, my friend. And up here, well, then later on, when VHS came in, I would put VHS cassettes in there, because by then, comic boxes had become a thing that you could buy. You know, damn it. This thing gets damaged every time it gets moved. Things like that. Here we go. This is got some DVDs that are, CDs, and there's the Mego, the Power Records Planet of the Apes book and record sets that I need to put upstairs in the comic room. So that's where those are. There's Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. There was this guy back in the old country that I was friends with. I met him at one time I was walking up to my car was in the shop, so I was walking up to Firestone, and I stumbled on a garage sale as I was walking to this place about a mile away from me, where all these 1940s and 50s stereos were for sale. Someone was part of a local club where they collected old phonographs and stuff, and all of these people met, and they all were selling. It was like a convention there in this guy's long driveway, and I met this guy, and I became friends with him, and he had all kinds. He restored old jukeboxes and things, and he had these old Wurlitzer speakers that used to be in hooked up to a jukebox in a club, or maybe in a drugstore or wherever, Pop's soda shop. But the sound is amazing out of these old speakers. There's one here, and then I've got one over here, and then I've got a third one that's more, those are like 50s, and this is more of a 60s one. So they're all hooked up to this CD jukebox over here that's not turned on. And these are all homemade CDs with my own mix of music. So anyway, he thought that I was a real sucker, and so he thought he knew how to sell things to me, because he knew that I was really into Monsters stuff. So of course I would love these jukebox speakers. They're beautiful. But he thought he had to sell them to me and kind of con me. And he said, there was a guy over that was looking to buy them, but he said, they're just too Dracula. They look like something that would be in Grandpa's lab in the Munsters. He was trying to make me want them because he knew I was into Monsters and the Munsters. And I thought that, boy, I don't like being treated like that. I don't like being treated like a chump. I bought them anyway. They were real cheap. And they're amazing sound, but don't try to pigeonhole me as just the monster guy. I'm into monsters, but I'm into a lot of things. But what I'm not into is bullshit. Treat me decently, man. Don't try to con me. I want it now because someone thought it was a monster thing. And I was buying fuck it. I was buying pinball machines for a while. These aren't turned on. And basically, when my father passed away, I inherited. My parents never spent money their whole lives. They shopped at Sears. They never bought things, the nicest of the nice. So they were able to pay myself and my two older brothers way through college. Of course, they had ROTC scholarships that helped a lot, but they weren't. I didn't come from a rich family, but my parents, my dad was able to accumulate some money. So when he passed away, I inherited some money, and I was, I put it into stuff like this, just so I wouldn't be conned out of it by the vultures that descend. So that's so I'm not. It looks like I'm rich. I'm not. I just got a lot of stuff that's cool, and I got holes in this. I got to put some model kits here because a lot of them were broken, and I'm gradually putting them back together. Like this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the table, and there's a chair missing. I don't know where the chair is. The table is loose, but I'm just gradually having to rebuild everything and put everything back in order. So this was a childhood glow-in-the-dark Hunchback of Notre Dame that I tried painting when I was in second grade. My older brother put it together, but and then years later, I guess I glued it, or I repainted it. He's lost most of his fingers, but you could just think, well, that's how they tortured him before they put him on their, I don't know. So this is here's another mummy that was also painted really well, not by me, but people. The original art, there's blood coming out of his eye. Whoever painted this, who was a very good painter, really made it coming, gushing out of his eye. So there's a original Wonder Woman model kit back there. I've got to get this stuff displayed a little better. Kind of have a little Superman display here. This is it looks like a Superman from 70 years ago, but it's newly made for a commemorative set. There's Superboy. Where's my finger? There, here, and I painted that. This was done by Joe Riley, my friend that I talked about being. I believe this is a factory painted. They used to paint these kits. They used to have painted kits that they would bring out to the in hobby stores where you bought model kits. They would have a built-up kit, and they would send one to the store. And the reason I think it's well, first of all, it's different from the kit. They changed this kit after the TV show came on. They gave him, well, actually, that does have the yellow. You can see that is where there's a yellow, you could paint yellow behind that. But this is, you can tell, was painted with a stencil, if you look closely. So this was, it's missing his little boomerang. That could easily be replaced. And anyway, that's, my belief is that this is one of the factory built ones. I don't know. I have another Batman kit. Actually, let me go show you that one so you can see the difference. Since you've just recently seen that. Okay, I'll show you this stuff real quick. There's a Basil Wolverton girl back there. Anyway, my mother collected all these Hummels, and then when my mother passed away, what my dad did is he said he was going to give all the Hummels to my brother's wife, but he let me pick out one that I wanted, and I think he let my other brother pick. I don't know. So I picked out one because he figured it's a girl thing. So I picked out one that I thought was the coolest looking. Because what they used to do at the PX when my parents were, when my dad was in the army, they were stationed in France and stuff, and Germany, and these would be real cheap over there. And a lot of the ones that we had were repainted. This thing sold for $2.15. I don't know. There's people really into these. I don't know much about them. And that was something from the family too. I think that's the Infant of Prague, because I think, I don't know much about. I think in one of the John Waters movies they have a little kid dressed up and he's supposed to be the Infant of Prague. I don't know exactly. I guess it's a little kid that's a saint. You can tell me down below if you know. I painted this Bride of Frankenstein. It's one of the reissues from the 90s. Before they reissued it, that was a super expensive model kit. Maybe it still is. It just was very rare. I love these little plastic things, the little dancing girls from the 60s. And that's something I inherited from one of my older brothers, this cowboy. I think that's just where maybe the mold went in, but it kind of looks like a bullet hole in his stomach there. But I don't think that's what it's supposed to be, because he's still drawing his pistols. I painted this Marx figure and this Phantom. I'm going to do a live stream. Here's a camera that will take your picture if you sneak in. Oh boy. Sometimes you find pictures of people at antique stores and you think, this was someone's relative. Why is someone selling this? Why are they getting rid of it? Why would anyone get rid of an ancestor's photo? And then I figure, I'll adopt this person and this will become part of my family. She looks very interesting. And for a while I was collecting these they're kind of like war relics, these pictures of German guys getting married during World War II. And you figure, well, the guy probably didn't survive World War II, and there's something very, I don't know. For a while I picked up 4 or 5 of them, not a major collection of German wedding photos. I just thought there was something poignant about it. Plus, you know, they were the enemy, and you're always reading about the horrible enemy in Weird War and Sergeant Rock, and then to see the enemy in love with flowers, it sort of makes you realize that they were just the German soldiers were just regular people like us. It was the German government that was the problem. They, you know, it's like we're you and I are nice people. If Biden does evil stuff, then other countries look at us as evil too. It's like all the Americans, but the German people weren't evil. So anyway, I don't know if this is blasphemous. I don't like blasphemy, but to me, I think that Jesus had a sense of humor and that he would laugh at this. I hope this isn't held against me at the pearly gates. Bless this house, O Lord, we pray, make it safe by night and day. And I just, altered the picture. Or maybe it was already altered on the internet and I just printed the picture out and glued it there. I don't remember. But anyway, just a baby Batman. How is that blasphemous? I don't think it's blasphemous. Do you think it is? You tell me down in the comments below. This is supposed to be original. Supposedly, this poster. I don't know. But if it isn't original, it's a pretty damn good reproduction. So, what the fuck do I know? And why do I care? It looks cool on the wall. I'm not ever going to sell it. I don't like selling things. My friend was here. He was wanting to buy or trade for things. And I realized it's really hard for me to get rid of things. And then some of the things he wanted the most were things that were gifts from my other friend when he downsized. And it's like, I can't get rid of something that was given to me as a gift. And plus, I wouldn't want to get rid of this Robert Bloch book. Who would get rid of a Robert Bloch book? Only a mentally ill person. So anyway, I don't think he liked that I wouldn't trade, but I'm just, I'm crazy, man. This was given to me as a gift too, before he won in 2016. That's one of the only Funko Pops I didn't take out of the box. Everything, or the only Funko Pop. But because I think the boxes are ugly. I mean, the figures are ugly too. We don't really call them pops. We never have. My wife and I call them embryos. They made an embryo of Elvira, and, that kind of thing. So this is what I call the library. I've got these 1950s sign. Let me get back a little bit so you can see. This would have been in like a high school library in, say, 1957 with a cool 50s graphics, you know, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Still trying to rebuild my Munsters living rooms from Aurora. I'll get back to that. Had a lot going on with a visitor here. Oh, here's some Star Trek books. See, I was trying to get all my Star Trek. See, everything was just thrown up wherever I could to get it off the floor after the move. And now I'm trying to get everything more organized. And putting things together, these James Blish adaptations of Star Trek. Whenever I find them around different places, I'm putting them over here where the Star Trek books are. So we have Star Trek 1. So I found 4 and 5. There's a 4 there. You know, I'm going to have multiple copies of some of this stuff. So let's pull out some of this stuff. Let's pull out Space Viking. Lust Lost. It's a fine book. What is this? Corpus Earthling. Okay. This Fantastic Four book could probably go in the other room. Okay, so now I move these over. And see, there's this one has writing on it. Let's see what the other Star Trek 4. Okay. Yeah, this is cool, the way they depicted the Enterprise flying low, and they never, you notice they never were in astronaut suits when they went. They always found planets where they could breathe the atmosphere. Let's see. This Star Trek 1 is a later printing where the James Bama illustration is small, but in the first printing, let me get these books somewhere else. I'll put them up where there's no danger of, you know, I don't like having this fucking Aleister Crowley book there, but I found it for a couple of bucks at a, I don't know, one of those what is that Barnes and Noble, you know, where they have the fancy books for a couple of bucks in the lobby, and I was curious about it, but I don't like having that satanic shit. That's something I might get rid of. Okay, so in here, and here I tried to make it like an old store, you know, with, there's not very good lighting in here, is there, ladies and gentlemen? This I got in 4th grade by buying every one of them in the box, and then the guy at the Lone Star Drive-In in San Antonio let me have the box itself. And I had some Wacky Packages boxes too, and I don't know, you know, those just disappeared over the years. But anyway, so this is a original comic book rack that came from Remember When on Valwood Parkway in Carrollton, Texas. It was owned by, what was his name? Was it Larry Herndon? Or is Larry Herndon a famous clown with Barnum and Bailey? I think it was Larry Herndon. He was one of the original Texas trio with Buddy Saunders, who would later own Lone Star Comics. And this guy, I believe, had muscular dystrophy and was in a wheelchair, and he was one of the guys with Buddy Saunders, and both of them went on to own comic book stores. But they put out a fan-made comic in the 60s called Star-Studded Comics. It was like by the Texas Trio. And they were Texas comic book fans around in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Anyway, he opened a comic book store that sold movie posters and pulps. And then he passed away, and his wife took over. And his wife was just like Aunt Bee. And it looked and talked exactly like her, with her hair in a bun. And you'd go in there, and she'd be loudly singing music from the Phantom of the Opera or Cats. It was really pretty horrible. And none of the books were priced. But anyway, she had 2 of these racks, these vintage racks, right? And that's where, when they got new comics on comic book day, they actually put the new comics in a comic rack. which modern comic book people, would frown on, right? So in the 90s, she got rid of this and sold it for like $20. And then there was another one, and I think my friend Joe Riley bought the other one, because if you ever watch the Hypnotic Eye show, you see the Cyclops puppet spinning it around. Anyway, this is why I came in here, because I remember seeing this Star Trek the other day. See, this is what Star Trek #1 is supposed to look like with the giant art. So let me put that over there. See, as I'm doing this video, I'm actually getting some work done. See, I'm tricking you guys. I'm entertaining you while I'm actually, this was given to me as a gift by a good friend of mine, Angelica Navarro, back in 1931. I'm going to turn to Forrest J. Ackerman. People ask me, have you read every single? Have you read every last word in all of these books? And I say yes. When I get them, I turn to the last page and I read the last word. In which case, the last word in this is sleep. Yeah, so now I've read every last word in my books, because the last word was sleep in Star Trek 1. Yeah, he always, when people toured the Acker Mansion, he had the same spiel for every person that went through. I never went to the Acker Mansion in LA. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Forrest J. Ackerman, the editor of Famous Monsters of Filmland, the original monster magazine, he had a huge collection of monster and science fiction memorabilia. And he opened his house, I think, on Saturdays or Saturday afternoons to people that wanted to come in and marvel at all of his stuff that he'd been collecting since the 1920s. And so my friend Tom Renoni went and visited there. And he brought a book, a Famous Monsters book, to be autographed by Forey, and then later Forey sent him like a bill. It's like for that book, he thought that because he had books for sale there, he thought that he'd picked up that book, and he said, "No, I brought this one with me." It's like it's just one of those things. Let's see if that book is over here. I should. He when he went to Forrest J. Ackerman's mansion, he got a copy of Lawn of 1,000 Faces, and had it autographed for me. Is that even here? The things are all, I can't find things, man. Here's the Famous Monsters Chronicles. I thought a lot of books were missing, but I found a bunch of them. Here's a book that I thought I was going to have to replace, and I looked it up on eBay. It's all about James Warren, and it was astronomically priced now. And I thought these books were missing. But I swear, these were the books from Fireside Press. Stanley wrote in the 70s and took credit for creating everything and all that. But anyway, they're really cool. But, they have 2 volumes of Origins, and they have Bring on the Bad Guys. And then there was one called The Superhero Women. I thought I had that. There was one of but there's a Silver Surfer graphic novel from the late 70s with Kirby art in it, and I know I had that, and I can't find it. And sometimes after I complain, then I later realize that I've had it all along. There's a lot of things I thought were missing that I found. There's still a couple of things I know were broken beyond repair, or are just not here. There was a giant trophy. I've got all kinds of trophies, of course, none of which I actually won, but I collect trophies just because they look cool. And one thing I couldn't find, and then when I was watching back a video that we filmed the other day, is the Star Wars script. But there it is. I don't know the history of it. Maybe that damn Silver Surfer book's in here. Here's some Hellboy books. Because everything got put in there's a Bernie Wrightson. I just got to look really carefully. This is one of the greatest books of all time, Comics, A History of Comic Books in America by Les Daniels. Make sure you have that in your collection. That's worthy of going on eBay or wherever you have to go to get it. This is a book by Joe Bonomo, who is like a Charles Atlas guy that used to advertise in comic books. Well, I don't know, man. Well, I better keep going through the house because I'm gonna run out of time on this phone. I'm gonna go do a live stream later on today. The other day I did a live stream because I was not in the best of moods, and I sent a text to Meyer Greenblatt and said, you want to come on? And I sent a text to Charlton66, and they were the only people I contacted. And then I think I hurt people's feelings because I didn't contact everybody, and I should have. But there's some Doc Savage books here, and then there's more Doc Savage books there. I got to get them all together, man. Someday it'll happen. Anyway, I was people just kind of stumbled in and found the show, and then I realized I had not invited everybody. Okay, so it's just a mess in here. Let's see. I'm kind of looking around for that Silver Surfer book. I can't find it. Yeah, I got to get more bookshelves, and I'm going to get all the mythology together, all the science fiction together. I'm going to arrange everything by genre, and everything's going to be great. That one's kind of halfway out. That must have been, my friend must have been looking at that. Okay. Yes, indeed. Here's some vintage lighter fluid. Okay, so things like this shit happened to, maybe I can fix that with a little bit of paint. But Betty Boop got screwed up during the move. But while we were moving, some of the U-Haul vans got buffeted by extreme wind. Oh, the grandfather clock stopped. And started fishtailing and stuff, and that may have caused some of this damage. All right, so this was my parents' grandfather clock. We got it when we were stationed in Germany. This is my father. He was a paratrooper. This is my grandfather, who was a professional baseball player. Oh, person seen at front doorbell, it says on my phone. Oh, this is my mother. That's also my mother. This is my wife Cleo when she was younger. This is also my mom. This is my wife Cleo looking at the comic rack in the other room when I first met her. All right, let's go see who this person is at the doorbell. Maybe someone brought a gift. Nothing. Shocking. Well, anyway. So have we seen everything here? This is a stereo console from the 50s. This is an Magnavox Concert Grand. They're very sought after for their sound. This is a mono one, though. There's a phonograph in here. I got this shit here, but I need to move it so I can play records. This is the TV we watch down here, and this is something I've never seen before, that in the move I must have been buried in a cabinet. It's some Christmas in the country, Christmas in the town, Christmas in our hearts, Christmas all around. If I saw that in an antique store, I would not be interested in it, but it was bought by my mother I guess through mail order, and she never really even took it out of the box. It was never displayed in the house. I don't know if that's a plate to put chips on or something, or hang on the wall. I don't know. But it was, the thing about it, it was in this box. It was still in a box. Where did I? Oh, here it is. I still got all this stuff on the floor. I'm still trying to unpack. But anyway, this is the box it came in. And it's from Custom Services Corporation in Maple Plain, Minnesota. My dad was a major at the time. 902 Olney, San Antonio, Texas. 902 Olney was the first house I lived in. When I was born, my parents lived at 902 Olney in San Antonio. So, what's the date on here? Come on, focus. Man. Watch it be the same month I was born. I got to get some light for it to... Oh, there we go. December 22nd, 1965. I was... Let's see, April, May... I was 8 months old. 8 months old in 2 days. 2 days over 8 months old when my parents... when this was postmarked. So I was a baby when they got this, maybe because I was a handful, the baby running around the house and two older brothers always punching each other. Maybe they never bothered to take this thing out of the box, but it's cool to find this. At least it's cool to me. You probably could give a shit because it's really not a cool looking mid-century artifact, but it's neat to me. And it's something that's been in the house, all growing up, and I never even knew my parents owned it. So I'm ready for Christmas. I just pulled this up out of the basement, this vintage Christmas box that I got at some garage sale. It's got a lot of, I got to get this Christmas stuff up because it's almost Christmas, man. Oh, I always loved this Christmas ornament. It's a bootleg Snoopy. Look at that. Let me put that on display. Yeah, and all this Christmas stuff needs to be put up. And we've always had these little 50s elves on the Christmas tree. I need to put them on the Christmas tree. But we're going to get... there's... more Halloween stuff. See, Christmas and Halloween, to me, are the same thing. Alright, so this should go over here with this guy. So I'm gradually starting to get things organized. Fantastic. Okay, so I got all my Big Daddy Roth weirdo, some of them here. What else can I show you? There's the stairs that go upstairs as opposed to downstairs. This is an interesting room here. No, it's actually an elevator shaft. That's the door to the garage over there on the other side. And the elevator's way up there on the attic floor, or the penthouse floor where my wife and I sleep. This, what used to be in the courthouse on the town square, this big thing here. And I don't know why they would get rid of it, but let's see what's in. I put in here. There's one of my copies of Risk, one of my favorite games. Here's some Collegeville costumes of the Ghosty Skeleton. There's the Planet of the Apes Warrior, Zippity Speedway, Battling Tops. That's a fun game. This is a box of Count Chocula. These are a bunch of CDs and DVDs and these half-price books, binders. These type things were, remember these games they used to sell that looked like bookcase, looked like books after the Holocaust. Anyway, they looked dignified on a bookshelf. My brother was into these. And what is Owa? One of them Here's the one that has the Cleopatra looking cover. One of them looks like Mr. Spock on the cover. Oh, my favorite was Twixt. My brother and I used to play this all the time. Any of you ever play Twixt? Someone wrote Sail. Oh, you know what it is? My brother probably held on to the original. Maybe I bought that at a thrift store. Maybe that Twixt. Oh, no. I bought that at a thrift store. This is the original Twixt that my brother and I used to play, yeah. So I have 2 copies of that. Is Ploy the one that has the... Yeah, this is the one that has the Spock-looking guy on it. It's definitely supposed to be Spock, you know. It's going to be... This is like some Vulcan game, right? But anyway, I want to start playing some of these games with my wife. And, anyway... So, pictures of Betty Page. These came from the original negatives. Sorry, I'm still half asleep. That's a World War II poster. Here's Buck Rogers and Wilma Deering. These plates that they sold when the animated series was on television. They sold them at the Warner Brothers stores. I imagine, do they have value now? Probably. Not selling them, but anyway, this is the room where I keep, you know, one thing I'm looking for, and maybe it's in here. I keep looking around. 2 things I can't find anywhere are my, I had 2 Hasbro Kooky Spookies. They were little finger puppets that glowed in the dark, and they really glowed, and